looks like the sun's out again. I guess it's gonna start getting hotter anytime soon, huh? And what's going on today? It's kind of interesting reading this actually. It relates to that story how I guess in the Ukraine, they were kind of trying to tell people like DJI, stop working with the Russians and so forth, whereas they, DJI, would say we're not, quote, like on anyone's side, so they're just selling, I guess, hardware. If they use it in that way, you can't, I guess, quote, stop them. But how about this? This one says, Chinese drones come with political baggage, but Ukraine buys thousands anyways. The unmanned aerial vehicles are too valuable against Russian invaders for Ukrainians to be all that concerned about whether manufacturer DJI has close ties to the Chinese government. Try thinking about that, huh? It's like, oh, you're against this and that, but ultimately it's the best, I don't know, value or whatever, I guess ultimately you could say. Drones made by DJI, a $15 billion Chinese company, have become such an important part of Ukraine's resistance to Russia's unprovoked invasion that officials in the besieged country are now setting aside concerns about the considerable political baggage that comes with them. This was kind of the shocking thing to me too, just based on the picture of the type of drones they're using, which I'll get into in a bit. It says, Mikhailo Fedorov, Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister and Chief of the Ministry of Digital Transformation, who has become something of a media star in the last month for his ingenuity and defiance in the face of overwhelming odds, posted photos on Monday of new DJI Mavic 3 unmanned aerial vehicles in what looks like the back of a van. Fedorov said Ukraine had bought 2,372 quadcopters and 11 unmanned aerial vehicles for $6.8 million. The money was donated by the Come Back Alive Fund, which has been accepting donations for the defense of Ukraine since Russia's 2014 invasion and annexation of Crimea. Mavic 3s for this. I think everyone even knows, just from a consumer point of view, how pricey this thing is. This is more of, I guess, premium brand for cinematography purposes. Do you really need a Mavic 3? It makes me think those conversations people usually have where war is fantastic for, I guess, companies who supply any materials and stuff for them. Like, they would argue here, obviously, DJI would say, hey, we don't provide military material. But here it's just like spending, right? I have this money, it's given to us, let's just buy out all this. For those who don't know, who don't fly, for example, a recreational drone, it might not be the perfect example, but to me, it almost feels like a place going in war and they say, we need vehicles. Now imagine they get funding or whatever, and now they go out and buy, I don't know, 2,000 Teslas to be used in the war field. Like, is a Tesla, for example, really the best type of car, for example, or vehicle you would want during like a situation of war? That's kind of like the same thing here, because these ones are meant more, honestly, for things like capturing movies and stuff like that, just based on the quality. I would imagine you would need something more, I guess, industrial to be used in terms of, let's just say, zooms, thermal cameras. And if you say that's too expensive and all that, then I would imagine you're just using it to keep track of the area. I would argue actually even like small drones that are cheap just with a basic camera are better than this for the money and value. And it goes on to say, China hasn't chosen sides on the war in Ukraine and has refused to condemn the slaughter of civilians ordered by Russian President Vladimir Putin. That puts DJI and its billionaire owner Frank Wang in a bind. The company insists its drones are not intended for military use despite all the evidence to the contrary. It's one of those things too, I guess, when you're in that position as a company, if they're making money and so forth, then they're not gonna complain, I guess you could say anyways. And yeah, it just shows more pictures of, I guess, all the DJI materials they have were bought with all these, I guess, sort of those military soldiers. But it makes me wonder, like, if they're concerned about things like the aeroscope, like they say here, Chinese Communist Party, I guess, control against information, stuff like that, against war, why would you purchase DJI drones in that sense? I don't get it. Because for the price you're paying, like that premium for the Mavic 3, couldn't you buy it from other manufacturers? Like, just as an example, I mean, if they're working with the US, why wouldn't they get like a Skydio drone or something like that? You could probably get like, what, 2 Skydios for every one Mavic 3 type of thing, depending on what you buy and all that. Either way, I guess DJI makes money out of this, and it shows you during times of war, there are people who profit from it financially. Alright, see you guys later.